You ever take your Parkinson's meds and feel nothing? Well, welcome to off time, when the meds forget to show up and your symptoms throw a party.
They told him he had 5 good years left. That was 15 years ago. He's still standing, still speaking, still living. This is Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. A podcast about what happens when life throws you something incurable and you fight back anyway. Hosted by Bryce Perry. Diagnosed at 40, 15 years into the battle. This is the truth behind the tremor. Let's begin.
All right. Well, welcome back to the channel. A big hello to my inner circle private community and all my channel members. Your support means the absolute world to me. And if this is your first time here, my name is Bryce and this is Life in Motion. No, it's not Life in Motion. this is what is this? Living with Parkinson's, the good, the bad, and the reality. Life in Motion is another podcast, and I was actually just looking at some stuff with my good buddy Brian. And if you're interested in kind of some more of the funner side, the more humorous side, and of Parkinson's, that we have a podcast called Life in Motion, and it's live on YouTube every Sunday at noon Eastern time. But anyway, this is the good, the bad, and the reality. And that this podcast is a space for strength, hope, and honest conversations about Parkinson's and those living with it, and those loving someone who is. And if you and if that's you, make sure that you subscribe. Today's episode is when the meds stop working, the battle with the off times. And I really get right into this. It's so important, and I want to break it down. Off time is when Parkinson's medication either hasn't kicked in yet or it's wearing off, and the symptoms come roaring back. Off time. Uh, it's that awkward hour before your next dose when everything just slows down. The stiffness, the shuffling, the freezing. You're back in the thick of it. Even though you took your meds like clockwork, it's like your brain says, sorry, we're closed for maintenance. Now, for me, off time doesn't always wait for when it's a convenient moment. I don't know about you, but mine always hits me when I least want it to hit me. I've had it hit right before meetings, right before filming, and yes, even in the middle of a public bathroom, which is a whole episode on its own. Stay tuned for that. But sometimes it feels like my body just checks out, right? I'll go from feeling okay to dragging my leg, my right leg actually, freezing mid-step, and or losing all motivation to even stand up. It's frustrating. It's unpredictable. It's crazy. Honestly, it's exhausting, especially when people say, but you looked fine 5 minutes ago. Yeah, well, now I look like a broken wind up toy. But here's the real talk. I can't eliminate the off times true totally, but I've learned how to ride it out better, and I've learned how to make them less and less. So I'm going to give you a couple tips and a couple tricks that I've learned here that hopefully are going to help you. Tip number 1, track your timing. Okay. And if you listen to any of the podcasts or the channel, I set alarms on my phone. I set them, my wife's phone sets them. I set them on my Alexas. I set them everywhere I can set them, in my calendar, you name it. Anywhere I get a reminder or anything that will remind me, I have this 3-hour block set. Okay. And I need to pay attention to when my meds actually start working. So I have 2 different things. Like some of the things that you have to pay attention to. Number 1 is, stick to your schedules, whatever that is that your doctor has prescribed for you, and your medication timing. Be diligent about it, right? That's how you manage your off times. You have to be diligent. Even 5 minutes late or 5 minutes early can mess you up. So I set my alarms. I take my first dose in the morning when I wake up, and I set my alarm 3 hours later. Now, how did I get to 3 hours? Well, when I first started with medication over 15 years ago, I was taking them every 4 hours. Okay. But after time, you start realizing when this off period starts to hit, when the medication stops working. Now, my medication usually kicks in probably around the 25-minute, 30-minute area after I take it. So I know that. So I know that when I take my meds, I'm going to start to feel better right around that 25-minute mark. So I know when I can start moving in the morning, right? I know I have 25 minutes just on my own, staring at the ceiling after taking my meds, before I can actually really get up and start moving and doing things. So I know that time. But what I want you to start doing now is, I want you to start having a little journal or a little thing and start noticing when your off time starts. Okay, because it doesn't start at, like, if you're taking pills every 4 hours, I guarantee you your off time is not starting at 4 hours. It's probably starting around the 3.5, 3:15, maybe some even three. And you just have to know that number because you have to know it's consistent, right? Because some days are different than others. Some days you may go 4 hours and feel great. Next day, maybe go 3 hours, depending on what you ate, what you did. You burn through your levodopa faster. I know me personally, if I'm doing something physical, I burn through it. If I'm that's my main thing. Like if I'm being physical, I burn through it much quicker. So I have to know these things, but you have to track it and you have to see the trends, right? So in other words, if everything, on Monday you track it and around that 3:15, what do I mean by your symptoms coming back? I mean, how do you know? It's your predominant symptoms. So my predominant symptom is stiffness, especially my right side, and now it's cognitive, right? It's the memory, the kind of brain fog stuff. So I started noticing around the 3 hour and 15 minute mark ish. I would start kind of getting my head would start going a little fuzzy. It wasn't feeling right, and then I'd start feeling the stiffness in my leg, and so I'd write that down. I took my meds at this time. Here's when I started feeling it. I took my meds at this time. Here's when I started feeling it. And I didn't try to like self-diagnose myself and try to figure it out. I just, when my next doctor appointment came, I took it to him and I said, here's the deal. I'm taking my meds here. And it's consistent, right? It's consistent whether, through about, a 2 week time, it's been very consistent. And he said, okay, then we have to either have to maximize your dose or we have to lower the time. And so, I always think a good rule of thumb, and so is my doctor, that he would rather keep the lowest amount of levodopa and keep the dyskinesia away as long as you can. So it automatically, I said, let's take him sooner, right? Than rather than add more levodopa. And that's what you have to find out. Find that timing. So, and again, these are the types of things that I do. I've been for 15 years now going to see my doctor every 6 months. Every time I go, I've got my little chart just so I need to show him, and he looks at that and determines how my meds are working by that. So that's what you have to do, right? So just plan around, and not when you're taking, like, well, you plan when you take them, but make some notes beside when you start feeling those predominant systems come back. All right. And how about tip number two? All right. I kind of mentioned this earlier. Is like, be smart with your meals, right? Protein can mess with absorption, right? If you're having a heavy meal, if I'm having a heavy meal, I might shift my meds slightly, or I'll take an extra dose. But of course, I've checked with my doctor and he said it's okay. But you got to watch that protein. For a fact, if you're going to have a heavy meal and you're having a lot of chicken, a lot of protein, a lot of things are going in, um, you take a little bit more, right? Take a little bit more, or you'll have to take it sooner because it's going to wear off faster. So your whole key is, if you don't have to be off. See, that's the whole thing. Everybody says, well, there's on and off. You have to be on, you have to be off. No, you don't. No, you don't. You can try to schedule, you try to hit that prime perfect number. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be off, but my off period times now run maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And so if no matter what I'm doing, if I'm on vacation or I'm on a trip or I'm traveling or whatever, I know if I might have 10 minutes and I'm going to have to rest and relax, and then it'll get better. So that's what I would say. So if you got to watch those meals. And then tip number three, communicate it. I've learned to let people know around me what's happening. It's not me being lazy or moody. It's my dopamine ghosting me, right? So communicate to your friends, your family, your coworkers about this off time. Hey, this is how my meds, this is how Parkinson works. This is how my meds work. And, if you start seeing me going that way, that's what, it's not that I'm all of a sudden got in a bad mood. It just may be wearing off. My drugs may be wearing off, but rest assured, and then know the number, right? When you start knowing that it's gonna be good in 20 minutes, right? Give me 20 minutes and I'll get back to you. And I'll do that at work. There's some days at work where the brain fog and the memory has been hit in this off period, or I've messed up my medication and I'm off, and I'll be like, you know what? I'm just gonna, if you excuse me for 20, I promise you I'll be right back and I'll know the answers to this. So make sure you communicate with all around you. And I find it a lot easier to communicate sooner than later, right? It's harder to communicate in the middle of it when you're down, like, okay, this is my drugs, and this is how it works, and this is how my prescription work. Do it first. Hey, this is, if I'm spending a lot of time with you tonight, let me just tell you, I have Parkinson's. This is what some of the things that I go through. This is what it looks like. Don't worry about it. We'll be okay. That type of thing. So I would encourage you on that. Okay. So there's 3 tips, and what about you? How long is do you know when your off time is? Put in the comments. I'd love to hear your length of time, right? So how long do your beds last? when is your off time and how many off times? Just tell me a little bit about it. I'd love to get your input, and it'll help other people. The other people read the comments too, and they get encouragement from them, or they get answers from them. So, be a part of the community and put it in the comments. We'd love to start the conversation. Right. All right. Tip number 4: need to rest without guilt. If I need to sit down and wait it out, I sit. And I've learned to do that without apologizing. So no matter what it is, no matter where I am, if I need to sit something out, I'm going to sit it out, and I don't apologize. It's just me. I don't have to say, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, how do you put up with me? I'm so sorry. It's like, no, this is the way it is. And this is what has to be done. So don't feel guilty because you have to take a rest. Don't feel guilty something takes you a bit longer. And don't feel guilty if you have to pull out of something, even just for a few minutes or even for half an hour, just before you get everything straight and you're good to go again. Right. And you can tell if somebody's like somebody who has a headache. If someone's having this migraine headache in the middle of a meeting and they're sitting there and they can't concentrate, what do? They grab some Tylenol, right? They take some Tylenol, and it takes time for that Tylenol to take away the headache. So to explain it that way, right? It doesn't cure you, like it just takes it away. It numbs it out. So here's the other thing, though. Let's talk about the mental side of off. Mental side. Off time doesn't just hijack your body; it messes with your head too. You feel useless. You feel frustrated. You feel embarrassed. And if you're like me, you start beating yourself up. So here's the deal: don't. Here's the deal: don't. If this isn't your fault, you didn't screw up your timing. Parkinson's is unpredictable. If you need a break, you take it. If you need to cry, cry. And if you need to punch a pillow, do it. Just not in public unless you want a whole different kind of attention. But just do it. Feel it. Feel what you need to feel. And if you're dealing with off times, know this, that you're not alone. This is part of this Parkinson ride, but we can learn to manage it. We can learn to adapt to it, and we can live beyond it. And hey, to my Inner Circle private community and my channel members, thank you for walking this journey with me. And if you're not a member yet, come join us inside the community. You can direct message me. We can post, we chat. You can be part of our monthly live calls, and you get early access to content and priority replies from me. And if this episode helped you, or made you smile, give it a thumbs up, please. Share it with somebody who needs to hear it, and drop a comment below. What does off time feel like for you? And until next time, keep showing up even when it's hard. Actually, especially when it's hard. You got this.